Hey, I'm Sean,
Hi, and I'm Shannon.
and we're the host of Wifey and Baby Mama. Happy Thursday, family. I've just grown to love
Yeah.
that slogan. So, you know what? We're going to
Yes.
adopt it here on Wifey and Baby Mama, Shannon. Happy Thursday.
Happy
Now,
Thursday.
I know
Yes.
we did our official welcome back episode on last week, but in case you weren't tuned in, let us tell you again, welcome back. We really missed you guys, and we're elated to be back with you yet another season. Shannon, I
Yes,
missed
we
you too,
are.
girl.
Yes, I know. Even though we talk every day.
I mean, we talk, get season prepared, worked on a few
Yeah,
projects,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not like coming together like we do here every Thursday doing our
that's
thing.
true.
I love this
Mm-hmm.
part, especially
Right.
since we're so
Right.
far apart. So, hey, boo.
Yes. Hey.
Hey. All right. So, let's get season 3 underway here. Tonight's topic is titled Leading and Submission and How Not to Get It Twisted. In honor of the new year, we chose a topic that we could speak on, concerning the correct order of
Mm-hmm.
doing things in a relationship, on the daily, particularly a marriage, because the Bible does not speak of
Right.
situationships,
That's
only the
right.
vows a man and woman take, in the name of the Lord before, family, friends, and God. So we don't want anyone to be confused here. If you're not married, don't expect certain things to flow for you because God don't bless no mess. And trust me,
Mhm.
if you're new to this podcast, which is possible because we picked up a few new countries while we're on break. So if this is your first time tuning into Wifey and Baby Mama, first of all, seriously welcome. And secondly, let us tell you, we're the least two judgmental chicks you'll ever come across, okay? We just want to be
Right.
clear and very careful not to mislead anyone, though, because Shannon and I both have been in relationships and situationships, and God was nowhere
Mm-hmm.
near. And that's a hot
Mm-hmm.
mess. I can't speak for you,
Yeah.
Shannon, but for Sean, let me say it loud. When God isn't in it, it's a living hell.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Even I don't know if folks watch Judge Judy, when couples that have been living together come before her and they want her to fix some mess that they've created. That's the like some of the first words out her mouth. Courts aren't meant for this
That's
because you
right.
have no legal contract with someone. You're
That's
not
a
legally
fact.
bound to them. So why are you going into a court of law saying, I want my cat back or or I want my couch back from this dude, So yeah.
That's just a dude. It's not your husband. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
we can't prove that. So yeah. But in all
Mhm.
fairness, you do have to date and get to know people before
Of
marriage.
course. Yes,
So we
yes.
give our advice and experience on those things as well on certain episodes. Leading and submission particularly applies to to two people that have become one. And in my case,
Mhm.
the reason this topic resonates with me so well is I'll admit my marriage started out of order. We were both into church, but we were not necessarily following the word and teachings. So we found
Mhm.
ourselves in constant turmoil and disagreements, on what was proper between a man and a wife, becoming one. And in the beginning, we were at odds on the daily. It was one of the biggest things my husband had a problem with, was our order. And his thing was, your tone. And in his words, your
Mhm.
disrespectful mouth. And I had to take a look at me before I could point out his wrong. And I found it wasn't always him bucking or resisting what
Mhm.
I was telling him. It was how I was doing it, my delivery. And that was what he had an
Right.
issue with. And my
Yeah.
issue with him was, you're a grown man. Why do I need to tell you at all?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
should just be doing
Mhm.
it. Or why should I have to tell you if a female speaks to you, knowing you're a married man? She doesn't have to be sure that I'm your wife. She doesn't even have to know I'm your wife. But if you and I are standing there, then she speaks to you, look me up and down and walk away. That's disrespectful. It's some things that you
Mhm.
just don't do. But in truth, I knew he wasn't doing certain things as a leader of the home when I first married him. So that's
Mhm.
why it's important, even when dating, to be sure to understand the order of a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with growth in your marriage because even with,
Absolutely.
everyone, Shauna, you and I talk about it a lot. Me and my husband, we came in, both of course following God, but he had been married before. I'd never been married before. So
Mhm.
we weren't on the same page. There were a lot of
Absolutely.
ways where things were like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And he's looking at me like, what are you doing? And then he was always trying to school me on marriage. And I'm looking at him, how you gonna tell me something about marriage? You don't been married before and all, and I've never been married, but so we both were wrong.
That's
definitely, both
right.
wrong,
That's
and
right.
both had to learn and grow. And there's
Absolutely.
absolutely nothing wrong with that as long as you recognize where you need to go. And we're not totally there yet, of course. We've only been
Oh
married
no.
5 years.
I don't
So
think
we,
anyone ever gets there, to be honest with you,
yeah,
Shannon. I've talked to
yeah,
couples that's been married. This one pastor and his wife, she's a very good friend of mine. They've been married over 30 years, and they still have days when they're at
still.
odds. You'll
Hmm.
never
Yeah,
arrive. We
right,
just try to
right.
give advice to where we have, look, to the point we have gotten, how we gotten there, and how we make peace in
Yeah,
our homes at this time. I was so
exactly.
concerned about shacking up and going to hell, Shannon. That was my thing. I want to be married because you're not about to keep sleeping. I'm not. Mind you, when I already had two kids, but still, it's time out for everything. I wanted to be
Right,
married, or
right.
you get the heck
Mhm.
on. What I didn't
Mhm.
realize was getting married before we had identified what leading and submission looked like. Still, still we ended up every day in a living hell on the daily,
Mhm.
because even with
Mhm.
the rings and vows, until you understand what leading and submission looks like, you still got a problem. So you're absolutely
Yeah,
correct. Growth is needed and growth is necessary, and growth will happen every day, every year, every single decade of a marriage. It will happen.
yeah,
It'll take place.
yeah, exactly. As long as you're willing to recognize that you're not grown yet, because a lot of
That's
people think,
right.
"Oh, I'm good. I'm good." So you always have to be self-aware and
Girl,
hold
I can't
yourself
tell you.
accountable.
I can't tell how many times, my husband and I will come to an issue and we jump the hurdle. And I call everybody, I call my friends, I call you, be like, girl, we worked it out. We so good. We in love. And I call back 2 weeks later, but I'm gonna kill this Negro. You better come get him if you want these kids to have a
Ah.
father. Or you call me and be like, you know what? You
Yep,
got a minute?
yep. I
I
got a
got
vent.
this other really close girlfriend that I have, and she'll call and be like, I'm leaving. I'm done. They've been married like
Mhm.
17 years. I'm like, girl, what? So that's what I'm telling you. It'll never be perfect. You'll think,
Right.
you'll have good days, but girl, listen. And I want to be
Yeah.
clear on this subject. Nothing will ever come before the word of God, right? It will remain the
Right.
same today, tomorrow, and forevermore. And as a Christian, I try and follow that the best I can daily, right? As a wife
Mhm.
and a mother, though, I also found that it's okay if you have to do things for your house that some may find out of order. For instance,
Mhm.
I think I made this reference, or we made it with one of our guests last season, but it's just something cut and dry that I can get into without getting too deep. In most homes, the man takes out the trash like 75% of the time, right? I mean, like
Yeah. Mhm.
in a lot of homes, let me re-say that. In a lot of homes, it's like the man's duty, right? In my
Right.
home, 75% of the time it's me. And not because he doesn't want to or he's lazy or any nonsense like that. I'm just in the kitchen more. And if it's full, I'm not waiting to take it out because, oh, the man's supposed to take trash out. He the man of the house. The devil, honey. If it's full, I'm taking it out. And that's that. Now, on the other hand, it can be a situation where, like, we have a 16-year-old. She wants to go to a dance and it's not over to 2 a.m. My husband says, absolutely not. I
Mhm.
can't go over his head and be like, well, it's a safe environment. These are good kids. Their parents are lawyers and it'll be fine. They'll be safe. No, we got to discuss that before we get in front of the child. If the
Right.
answer is no, then the answer is no. And we get to why it's no before we get in front of the kids, right? Because if you do it
Mhm.
any other way, it's going to be disrespectful. As a wife, he's going to lose respect for me as a husband, I'm saying. And going against him in front of the kids make him make them kind of lose respect for him as well. That's also a
Right.
thing we had to grow into because I'm like, wait a minute, dude, these are my kids.
Mhm.
You be telling me nothing because you just came up, honey. Bye. No, when you become one, all of that has to stop. And I
Mhm.
had to look at it from a man's point of view. Like, you don't get to just show up and just tell my kids what to do. Well, you don't marry him then. You got to have that
Yeah.
all worked out before you walk down that aisle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So my husband used to be under the impression sometimes too, though, that just because he was a man, that was the answer. Negative,
Mhm.
bruh.
Mhm.
We had to also discuss, like I think we discussed this in a previous episode. I hope y'all caught up because we gave y'all like too much now. But anyways, even if you didn't, you could still go back. They're there. But
Yeah.
anyways, we talked about in this day and age, for the most part, it isn't feasible to live the traditional way. Where the man bring home the bacon, so he makes all the decision, and the wife sits home and cut flowers and make sure they're pretty on the table. And no, we're
Mhm.
both out working.
Mhm.
This day and age, everybody's getting money. Everybody's trying to, run the house, do their part. We both make decisions. Now, ultimately, He has the final say according to the order, though, because he's the man of the house. And that doesn't
Well,
make me weak as a woman, you know.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'll give you. I'm talking about my house. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
make me weak as a woman. It just speaks to my character, my understanding that I will submit to my husband as he submits to Christ. You know.
Yes. There you go.
So no, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Now you
Yeah.
go ahead with what you were saying. I was just saying how it
Oh,
goes in
no.
my house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, when you said he gets the final say, but then you added as long as you're following Christ. As long as your husband is following Christ, then of course you're following him. And like you said, everything is a discussion, a decision to be made. Is mutual submission, meaning the word says, wives submit to your husband, but it also says husbands love your wives as Christ loves the church.
I mean, get it
And
clear. Make it
yes,
plain, sister.
yes,
Make it
yes.
plain.
And
Make it
also
plain.
understand that even Jesus Christ humbled himself in a mutual submission with us
That's right.
by him humbling himself and dying on the cross. That was a mutual submission. He humbled and
Absolutely.
submitted himself. And Christ does not force himself on us. Salvation isn't forced, it is a choice. He says, "Come to me," not "I'm going to come beat you over the head until you come to me." And your
That's
marriage
right.
can't be that way either. So you can't, a lot of people, when they hear women say, "I submit to my husband," the naysayers or non believers, or you don't even have to be a non believer, even some folks in the church say, "No, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that." Because they think submission is synonymous with fear. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna live in fear. That's not what that means.
It's not. But I'm gonna
That
raise
means
my
having.
hand. Go
Mhm.
ahead. I'm sorry, baby. No, go ahead.
No, no, no,
That
go
means having.
no,
No, you finish your point.
yeah, that just means having mutual respect for each other, and you cannot have chaos, or you won't have chaos if you have mutual respect for each other.
Let
Even
me tell you, girl.
God told Abraham to listen to Sarah. Read your
That's
word.
right.
He said,
That's it.
"Listen to her." So just because you're saying I can submit to my husband as he submits to Christ, that doesn't mean
Doesn't make you a mat,
you're
a pushover.
exactly, you're not a mat, you're
Mm-mm.
not getting beat, you're not whipped, you're not, all these things that people use in place of the word submission. So make
Well,
sure go ahead.
no, no, no. I'm
Go
thinking you're done, and I'm cutting you off. But no, you're making good points. I don't want
no.
you to stop. But I was just going to say, when you said even if you are not believers, you said, but even if you are a believer, I'm a full Christian. Baby, been a long
Mhm.
time Christian.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
right now, when my husband was acting foolish, you go on, get up out of here. You ain't telling me nothing. You telling my kids nothing. I ain't saying nothing you talking about. I had to even
Right.
understand
Right.
that that was wrong. But because I
Yeah.
just want
Yeah.
to not dismiss what you said or compete or try to
Mhm.
antagonize or manipulate what you said. But what I'm saying is this: even though he was out of order, he was not submitting to Christ, he
Mhm.
wasn't doing right. I was a little, not little, I was still wrong for not just praying and allow God to come and correct the situation. I was still wrong for bucking just straight up, like, no, I'm not doing nothing. You say, I don't care what you're talking about. You ain't living
Right.
right and you ain't gonna tell me what to do. That ain't the answer, people. That's why you need to
Yeah.
get all of this in order before you walk down the
Mhm.
aisle. Because I had to do it backwards. And I'm gonna tell you something, Shannon. It's so hard to back walk instead of just
Yeah.
going in it the right way. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because now
Right.
you have these
Right.
two full-grown people who are in this marriage. We came into this marriage just
Mhm.
as we are. And now you're gonna make
Yeah.
me now you want to try to make me not that he or she shouldn't try to make the other one. You should be that way when you arrive at the altar. When you go down to take
Yeah.
those vows, all this should be understood. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's wifey and baby mama's mission. We're gonna try to get y'all right. And if you ain't right, if you like me and Shannon, when you did it and we wasn't already right before when we did it, it's
Mhm.
still room for growth and it can still get better. It can still change. It still works.
Yeah.
But you gotta let God do his work.
You
So
do.
now
Mhm.
there's another, part of that getting a twisted reference for the men. I want you to understand something, fellas, what I just said. Y'all can't be out here living any kind of way, doing any old thing,
Mm.
not paying bills, and think you're about to live in peace. You're creating a storm in that case. And it's hard for Christian women to follow, like Shannon said. It's hard for us to follow when you're acting a monkey. But you can
Mhm.
believe if these women are of the world, you're going to get good and left. I'm going to tell you that right now. Or
Yeah.
you're going to be one of
Yeah.
many because they're not going to
Right.
submit or commit to a man who's not. doing it the right way. You have to give us
Mhm.
something to want to submit to. You have to give us something to want to be peaceful for. Angels
Yeah,
don't live in hell, and I'm an
right.
angel. So you have to give me some peace, baby. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Straight up.
And yes. And
It wasn't
another
always, but I am now. The other
and
girl,
another
shh, the other girl could have lived in that
Oh
world. This girl
Lord,
right
oh
here, it's
Lord.
peace,
Yeah,
and it's the
yeah.
peace for me.
Right, right. And another thing about submitting too, um, that, make it clear. People say, of course, like I said, a few minutes ago, people don't want to submit, don't want to submit. You submit to things throughout your life, throughout the day. You submit to authority.
That's right.
Don't you? You're not out here robbing banks because you submit to the laws of the land. The same way with the laws of your marriage, the vows that you take, that is submission, you know? And some people say, well, that's why I don't want to be married. Well, okay. If that's what you if that's how you want to live, but don't expect that you're gonna have perfect peace. Um, and some people do. There are some people, of course, there are anomalies everywhere. Some folks, we hear about atheists all the time and people that, agnostic, don't believe in God, and their lives seem absolutely wonderful and they don't have any strife, or so they say. But we don't know. We're not behind closed doors. So I'm not
Right.
saying you have to be married. I'm just saying it's better if you are. And there are more success stories when people are married folks are following the laws of marriage, just like you
That's
follow
right.
the laws of the land. And that is
That's right.
submission. You're submitting to
Absolutely.
authority when you put your seatbelt on. You're submitting
Hmm.
to authority when you go get your driver's license before you get behind the wheel. Those are things that are submission. So don't think that submitting to your husband is just the craziest thing you can hear, or think that um a man that says my wife is submissive means she's just this docile little mouse, that's going to follow everything this man says. And then on the flip side, I know we've all seen those marriages where the woman is so dominant, where the man is like this poor little uh mm,
Handpicked
frightened
chicken.
abuse. Yeah, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So
It's
neither
all
one
of
of
them. It's
those work. Yeah,
no.
yeah. So
But I want to say this: when you talk about women or people who think I ain't submitting to nobody and I'm better
mhm,
and this, well, you think
mhm.
about the fact that, like you said, Jesus submitted to dying for us, and none of us deserve
Yes,
this.
that's
So women,
right.
when men are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and men, when women are not doing what they're supposed to be doing in your marriage, take it to the Lord and remember
Mhm,
that He died for us even when we didn't deserve it. So some days,
right.
our partners are not going to live lives that deserve submission. I get it. But we have to remember that every day, we're loved by somebody who probably in rights shouldn't love us for the things we've done, but they do.
Oh yeah,
So keep that in
yeah.
mind. Nobody's perfect, and we're
Nobody's
not perfect.
perfect.
But don't
Mhm.
intentionally though try to create a living hell for someone and think it's going to be in peace, or think that you're going to do everything you're supposed to do and not follow the word of God, and then this person's going to sit. It's not going to work. It's going to be a failure on both your behalves. So the best thing to do is try to get it right before you go down the aisle. But if you already have and
Mhm.
you're living in turmoil, just turn that thing around.
Yeah, and I know there are folks that are together that may be unequally yoked, and they could have gone into the marriage that way, or
Hmm.
there are situations where neither one of you are saved, and then you get
Right.
married, and then one of you gets
Hmm.
saved, yet your
Right.
partner is still out here trying to do these things, and you might have a husband trying to get you to go to strip club with him, or do these things that you no longer do, and you say,
Right.
"Oh well, I guess I got to be submission." No, no,
No,
that's not
nope,
what
that's
we're
not what that
saying.
means. Absolutely
Right.
not. Because
Mhm.
I bet you one thing right now, if I don't want to go, I'm not going. If it goes against what I said, I'm not going.
Mhm. Right.
Period. Now that don't
Exactly.
have nothing to do with it. So no, don't let people trick you into it either. Get to know
Mhm.
the word for yourself. I mean, I
Yes.
think we can wrap it up with this: leading and submission. And how not to get it twisted. If you respect the order in which a house should be ran, value your partners and equally respect each other as individuals, you can certainly
Mhm.
live in healthy, whole relationship. And healthy doesn't always mean you agree on everything or every day's good or you won't get
Mhm.
bored or even dislike. I look at Jimmy some days like he get on my nerves. But it does mean you can respectfully, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
says about me. Matter
Yeah.
of fact, I've heard him a couple of times. He
Mhm.
didn't know I was
Oh,
home.
yeah.
But it is it is what it is. But it does mean you can respectfully agree to disagree
Mhm.
at times. In my
Right.
experience, with relationships and just recently in my own marriage, I have found that peace is best accomplished by not letting egos and tempers lead the mood in your home, but instead lead
Mhm.
with love on the daily.
Right. Right. And I told you this, and I know we just wrapped up, but just one extra point. Sean, you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. Um, I saw Michelle Obama down in at the Essence Festival in New
Hmm.
Orleans one year,
Right.
and she was talking about, of course, Barack Obama, and she says, "You all know Barack. I know Barry, because that's what she calls him."
Right, right, right,
And
right.
she says, "There are days to this day where I can't stand to hear him breathe."
I'm telling you.
So, for those of you all looking from the outside in, you would think, "Oh, no, she married to Barack Obama and everything, whatever." No, there will still have to be days where you just shake your head and wait for tomorrow.
That's it. I promise you, let me go to
Yep.
bed early just so I gotta see him no more. If I could just go to bed tonight, my marriage could live another day. I promise
Right,
you I get it.
right.
Oh, I get it.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's a great reference. That's Barack Obama. Okay, girl.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can imagine what these regular ninjas got going on out here, but that's a great one. Just live to see another day, honey.
Mhm.
All right. So we're gonna transition to the next segment of our show.
All right. What is it?
Okay, so it is, as I mentioned, well, let me start with this back in our welcome back episode. So if you haven't heard that, you won't know that our red line is now gone. We replaced it with a new segment, which we're calling audience invites. So I'll tell you, if you tuned in last week's song, at the beginning of the segment of every show, what I'll do is I'll tell you what the song for last week reference was in the beginning of this show. So, and I'm sorry, at the end of every show. So for last week, it was Tupac's I Ain't Mad at You. I ain't mad at you. I said the
Yeah.
line, I ain't mad at you doing our dialogue. Now it won't be that direct every week, y'all. But I wanted to do an easy one so we can get the picture for what the season will look like now. I've said a few lines tonight in this episode. I may even stress the line during the episodes. Hint hint. So if you hear me repeating the line, you might want to just jot it down. But anyways, so again, this segment it's going to put some excitement to our Thursdays. One feeling a red line, boom, is out of here. And it's going to put some excitement in your segment and some music in your ears. Now, every song has a
Yeah.
clean version these days, guys and girls. So please make sure you're looking up the clean version because some songs are just relatable and I got to use them. And the reason I had to use I Ain't Mad at You on last episode was it's 2024. Shannon and I discussed
Mhm.
leaving the bad stuff in 2023. If you
That's
did it,
right.
boom, we good. I forgive you, but you no longer have access. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I ain't mad at you.
Mhm.
Just keep it moving.
Mhm.
So that was our
Mhm.
that is our theme going into season 3. I ain't mad at you. So let people do what they do to keep them happy. You do what you got to do to keep going and living right. So that was the song for last week. But the lyrics now might be too much for your Christian ears. So clean up, listen, clean version. Okay? Now that's just so we ain't trying to be playing with like them people was playing in New Year's in Atlanta. I ain't doing that. Shannon, did you see that video going around on YouTube and
No,
social media?
I did
Girl, this
not.
church in Atlanta for the New Year's done turned on all the world music. Swagging and
Oh.
surfing in church, girl. Bye.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Now, I'm fully aware of the fact that we're not all on the same level spiritually, and we shouldn't judge anyone. Don't get me wrong. But
All
no,
right.
by no means is it ever okay to play in God's house. I don't do that, you know.
Mhm.
Now, that's all I'm gonna say. But my granny girl would have took that mic and Pastor would have been laid it smooth out. Okay, playing with God like that. But then again, church ain't what it used to be, honey. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So saints,
Yeah.
get to know him for yourself. That's all we can suggest here at Wife and Baby Mama. Get to know him for yourself. Now, audience, this is your official invite. If you can guess the song that goes with the lines I dropped in tonight's episode, hit us up at wifeyandbabymama at gmail.com. That's wifeyandbabymama at gmail.com. Our new segment for this season is the audience invite. You've been invited.
Yeah.
Hit us up. Now, Shannon, take us to our fictional family, baby mama.
Hit us up. All
Hit us
right.
up.
Thank you for that. All right. Here we go. Tonight, the fictional family I am feeling. I'm going to take you way back. Before I was born, actually, because you'll be like, how old is she? Well, never mind how old I am. But anyway, I'm going back to the
I wasn't born.
60s. I mean, actually, I was born in the 60s, but not when this show came out. Um, so this is the Nelsons from I Dream of Jeannie. Oh, you all remember Jeannie and Major Nelson. Love Larry Hagman um, and Barbara Eden. So, as we know, they had a true, master uh, servant or whatever. She's a genie, but she called him her master relationship, similar to what we were talking about tonight, but trying to be submissive, and all of that. The good thing about Jeannie and Major Nelson is that he would always tell her to stay out of things, and she would anticipate his needs, which is what we should do as married folks. If we have mutual submission, we anticipate each other's needs and
Hmm.
we come through, even if the husband says, no, I don't need you for that. Or you tell him, I don't need you for that. There are plenty of times that they might see something we don't see and they come through and save us in the end. Well, Jeannie did this all the time for Major Nelson. So this particular episode, him and his best friend Roger had a new drill sergeant played by, I think it was Don Rickles. Really? Yeah, Don Rickles. But anyway, he was a drill sergeant. He trying to break them, putting them through all of this rigorous exercise and maneuvers and all these things, and it broke him down. And at the end of the day, Major Nelson wanted to go to bed. He's like, "Oh, I'm so wore out. I'm sore." And Jeannie's like, "But no, you promised you'd take me dancing." So he's like, "Oh, I guess I did." So they go out to go dancing, and they're falling asleep at the table, him and his best friend. And she's like, "Come on, let's dance, let's dance." And so finally they get up and she gets them to dance. And the drill sergeant just happens to be there. And he looks at them and he says, "Oh, I guess I didn't put y'all through enough. If you're able to dance after all I done to you, tomorrow you're
It's gonna be
really gonna
we're
get
gonna
it."
turn up. We're gonna turn it up.
Yes. So the next day, as they're getting ready to go, they're aching, they're sore, they're beat down, they're just, really dragging. And Jeannie feels so bad because she realized if she hadn't have made them go, you know, out and got them to dance, it wouldn't have they wouldn't be in this situation. So she says, let me stop this, meaning use my magic, my genie powers and stop it. And he says to her, no, we're soldiers. We got to go through this. We got to do, you stay out of it. I command you to stay out of it, is what he told her.
Hmm.
But of course, so they go dragging out the doors. But of course, if you watch the show, you know she's not going to listen because she knew he needed her help. So she uses her genie magic to get them out of the rigorous pain and suffering and everything that they were going to go through. And you know, against his wishes, against what he wanted. And in the end, he was very thankful. He was very grateful that she thought enough of him to come through and
And
take
rescue him.
care of his, yeah, save the day. She saved the day, rescued him. And a lot of times in marriage, it's that same thing. If we know our partner well enough and we know that what we're doing isn't going to necessarily rock the boat, because sometimes we can get a little out of order because we might think we know something a little more than they do. But if we know our
Right.
partner well enough to know, hey, this is a way I can make his life a little easier, or this is a way I can make her life a little easier, save the day. Go ahead and save the day.
Absolutely.
That does not
Absolutely.
mean you're not being submissive, and it doesn't mean you're trying to take over the lead. You're trying to, better the life for your partner and show some love and compassion to the person you've committed yourself to.
And just like you
And
said,
that
Shannon, when you've been I'm sorry,
Mhm.
girl, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was about to
No.
end it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, when you've been together long enough, sometimes you do know your partner better than they know themselves too.
Yes.
So you can
Yep.
anticipate that.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, I thought you
That's
were done.
right.
Go
No, I
ahead.
am. Yeah, I was done. So I'm glad you
Okay.
jumped in. Um, so that is the fictional family that I'm feeling this week. So for
Great
those of you
fictional
who have
family,
never
girl.
heard of, yeah, for those of you who've never heard of I Dream of Jeannie, I know a lot of people they weren't even born in the 90s that are listening to this, but for those of you who've never heard of it, go look it up.
Go check it
Good,
out.
good,
It
good
was a good one of
television.
my good shows. Good television show. I like that
Yeah.
because there's so much garbage on these days. So that but back in the day,
Yeah.
that was yeah, that was a good show. Great fictional family, girlfriend, as always. See, that's why they kept you, girl. You always on the money with it.
Ah, all right. Well,
All
that
right.
is it for tonight.
Thank you all for tuning in again with us. Welcome back to season 3. Until next week, we love you all.
Love you.
Bye.